Hey, welcome to the My Inner Struggle podcast. I am your host, Laura Ferry. This week, I'm so happy you're here because we've been talking about setting goals and moving forward. And this is probably the most crucial topic when it comes to goal setting and achieving the things that you want to achieve. Staying consistent. So whether you're trying to lose weight or writing a book, or building a business, consistency is the key that unlocks momentum. So let's talk about how to gain momentum even when the road gets rough or overwhelming. So grab your coffee or your favorite drink and come get uncomfortable with me. So action is the first step to success. We can talk and 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 talk about all of the things. But until we start taking consistent action on achieving those things, it's really just talk. So to make progress in any area of your life, we need to figure out where we're starting, how we're approaching this. Be flexible on our plan or our approach, but the end goal is what we make it, obviously. Success doesn't happen by accident. You have to work at it. There is a flow, obviously, if you are constantly faced with something that's really not working out, maybe that's the universe telling you something. However, it could just be your approach or your plan. So you'd have to really dig into that. But regardless of any of that, if you are consistently taking action towards your goal, you're going to get closer to your goal and then eventually achieve it. It's consistency that is the most important. So, and it goes with any like personal or professional goals, regardless if you're trying to lose weight, if you're training for a marathon or a half marathon, or maybe it's just a 5K, or if you are trying to focus on building your savings so that you can afford a vacation or a new house or something like that. You have to be consistently taking action every day towards those goals. So it's all about the choices. It requires showing up every single day. You can't really put it on the back burner for a couple days or weeks or months and expect to have the same result that you are looking to have. Um, it's not the big, exciting things that get us to where we want to go. It's the small, tiny daily habits. And I can't even remember where I learned that tiny daily habits. Something I read somewhere. But those tiny daily habits all day long are what make up your day. So however you're spending them, whether you're scrolling or you're constantly cleaning or you're cooking or whatever, like that makes up your day, whatever that is. If we are in a negative space, that goes without saying, you know, we won't be able to get as far when you're constantly fighting the energy that you're surrounded with. So those small, sometimes boring and uncomfortable actions that we have to take to build momentum, um, get us to where we need to go. And you have to be willing to work consistently at your goal. Like, can I do this for the next 5 years and be okay with that or not? Because we don't necessarily have a time frame associated with something large or an idea of what we want to achieve, whether it's the whole package or something. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent because I'm thinking about the different goals that I have regarding say the podcast, for instance. It would be amazing, and I know Stacy would love me if I had it ready on time so that she had her part in it and editing and getting everything together and the clips and stuff like that. It would be awesome if I could be more consistent in getting it to her at a specific time. So we were texting back and forth about that, and that is a commitment that I need to make. The I listened to a really good podcast today on goal setting and things like that. I can't even remember whose it was, but we're talking about having like three main things that you want to be yours or what you focus on. Because if we focus on too many different things, we're not going to drive any of those forward enough to make a difference. And I'm talking about main things. Of course, there's always side things. If I'm talking about my top three, would be my writing, whether it's blog or books, the podcast, and coaching my clients and creating this beautiful community where we have each other to rely on. So those are my top main um, focuses that I have right now while building my business. But that doesn't include, like all the side things to get there. That's where the consistency comes in. If I jump on here once a week to record a podcast, all well and good, but what research or what organization did I put behind that or thought and effort to bring you something that you want to listen to? And I have, jumped on here with nothing prepared at all. And sometimes it's like more like a vlog than a podcast, which is fine because I'm only one person and I've only been doing this a little while. So I'm learning as I go. But when we have these goals that we're trying to achieve, it's really important that we remain consistent in the actions that we take. So, Stacy, I promise I'm going to do better. So, I want to mention, as we talk about, last week we talked about specifically goal setting, and we want to keep the momentum going as we set these goals. That's really important because otherwise, you can kind of feel the slog and it gets overwhelming and tough at times. As I've been building my business, one of the biggest two of the biggest stressors I would say that I had, getting it all together but remaining consistent throughout that is recovering from financial strain that I had while leaving my last job and things like that. And time is the most valuable thing that we have. So as I now have finished my book, sidebar, I have the proof right here. It'll be available very, very soon. And if you're local, please come to my Galentine's Day book launch party. And there's details on Facebook for that. But I'm super excited about that. But I really, really, really had to push myself to finish that. I had I'd say 87% done. And it felt like just a mountain I couldn't climb at times. And I was like, I've been saying that I've been writing this book for 7 years. I'm not even kidding. 7 years. I started the blog in 2016, right after my mother passed away. So the blog's been about 9 years. And just maybe a year and a half in or so, around there, I said, I'd really like to write a book. I've always wanted to be a writer ever since I was a kid. And I really want, I want to present this to people to help them. And what happened in that course of 7 years is unremarkable. And you think about your own life, when you go back 7 years, where were you? Who was around you? Who was here that maybe isn't in your life anymore? Did you have a different job? Were you going to school? There's all these things. And in that course of 7 years, so much transpired. So, and there was bouts of time that I didn't write, obviously. When I was in my last relationship, I don't think I really wrote at all, which is telling, honestly. And then, there were times during my divorce prior to that, I didn't write for a long time. But then there were other times that I would be sitting on voice to text on my phone into notes, just recording all of these thoughts. And so when I was presented, finally had the opportunity, I should say, to say, you know what, I think it's time to finish this book. It was over a year ago. And I did a big lunge forward and I had people read it and they thought it was good, but they wanted more. Things weren't fully developed yet. And then I needed to just kind of dive back into that. And then towards the end, I really don't think that I was finished because I truly believe that the end was like sort of happening, the end of that chapter per se, not the story, obviously. But to get back into it after having put it down for a little while was really fucking hard. It's like not going to the gym for 6 months and that first couple times back, and you're like, shit, this sucks. And then you're sore. But getting back into the book, I made a commitment to myself. I made a commitment that I was going to host a launch party, which was funny that I started with that because I thought it would be motivation for a fun time. And this Galentine's Day book launch that I'm hosting is kind of like all of these things wrapped into one. I just was telling a friend of mine the other day, and I can't remember who it was, about like my birthday and how it wasn't really celebrated as a kid. You know, it's around Thanksgiving. Oftentimes somebody would stick a candle in the pumpkin pie and they'd sing. And while I appreciate that, even as an adult, I never really felt celebrated. And so then when I was still married, I started celebrating myself and planning birthday dinners with our couple friends and stuff like that. And I think I did that like a few times um, toward the end there. And then after I was divorced, you know, people joke all the time, like, oh, let's have a divorce party. And I had thought about it, but I wasn't really in a financial situation to do that. And there's been so many times that throughout my journey that I've overcome things that I'm like, man, I wish I could like celebrate. I wish I could celebrate. And did in my own way, but not like in a big way, obviously. And this book is the perfect opportunity to do so. So that was a sidebar. However, my whole point to that was, is that I committed to the party because it was like the fun thing at the end. Just like when you get married, right? Like the being with your friends and family and the people that support you is the fun part. So you look forward to that, not necessarily writing out all the invitations or whatever, the addresses and you know, dress shopping and going all to all these little things that you have to do to get there. So I committed to my launch and then I worked backwards and I said, okay, I need this many weeks for editing, this many weeks for, you know, designing the cover, this whatever, and worked back and wanted to finish the bulk of the writing by Christmas because I didn't want to be stressed out. Um, uh, Actually, it was the week before Christmas. I didn't want to be stressed out like on Christmas or whatever that I couldn't, you know, I didn't have my full attention on anything because I was stressed in the background about that. So I gave myself plenty of time, but then committed to a daily practice of writing. And it wasn't always a lot every day, but that's okay. So that was part of getting to that goal, remaining consistent every single day in an effort to drive the project forward. And I fucking did it, and you can too. Your current circumstances don't define you. Your current circumstances don't define you. It's easy to think that your current circumstance is permanent or a reflection of where you'll be forever, but nothing is forever. Everything is literally temporary. So remember that your current circumstances don't define you and they don't determine where you can go. You can do anything that you want to. If there is a goal that you want to achieve, I promise you there's a way to get there. Wherever you are right now is just the starting point. No matter where you are today, you have the ability to achieve everything that you want to and beyond. And it's all about showing up and being consistent. And I have some like great goals on the horizon for 2025. I'm really fucking excited. And now that I have this big thing behind me, I can move forward with those other things and it's really exciting. And I've already started writing my second book. So we want to remember that. I was listening to Rachel Hollis's new book, and I have some things to read you because I want to share that with you. It was really, really great. I've been a big fan of Rachel Hollis for many years. One of her books, I think it was the first Girl Wash Your Face. Um, was life changing for me. It made me feel seen and heard as a mom, and some of the struggles that we go through. And so, if you ever have the opportunity, and if you don't, create it and grab her books. She has two that are really, really, actually, she has more than two that are really great, but these were two that I started off with, which I always recommend to my clients as well. So, the first one is Girl, Wash Your Face, and the second is Girl, Stop Apologizing. Great, great writing, great motivation, great ideas. Start there. I encourage you to. But she just got done writing or just released a book, What If You Are the Answer? And while I was listening to this, because I listened to the audio while I was working during the day, and I I was like, man, this is so familiar. And there are so many key points, and a lot of it kind of coincides with everything that's in my book as well. And so I was like, this is pretty cool to get like another perspective, but on that same kind of content. So I want to share with you what she said the 8-step process for momentum is, or staying consistent, and really, really sets the stage for growth. So let me share that with you. So, number one, get really excited about something you enjoy. Find that one thing that lights you up, something you're passionate about when you're excited, and it's easier to stay consistent. So these goals that we want to achieve should be like, you know, bringing joy, I would think, right? So if it's not, maybe, man, I'm not talking about the daily slog that that can get overwhelming, but if it's not something that's going to bring you joy, maybe we need to kind of look at that goal and see what that's about. The second thing is practice the thing you're excited about and fall in love with the process. This is something that I kind of struggled with. She goes on to, it's not just about the end result. Fall in love with the daily practice. The process of improvement can be just as rewarding as the outcome. And while I was trying to get all of these things done, I was not loving the process. And once I heard that, I was like, that's really interesting. When I started the podcast, I had great momentum. I was excited about it. And then at some point, when all of the other things started creeping in that I needed to finish, um, it kind of became overwhelming to me. And so I wasn't loving the process. Sitting here talking to a camera, basically hoping or knowing, someone is going to get like a little morsel out of one of the episodes that'll fuel their growth in the future is great. But sometimes when you're not seeing anything directly coming back from that, it can get discouraging at times. And actually, I listened to this book and I listened to podcasts and things like all day long. But there are some things that just motivate me. Hearing other people's success stories is one of them. So listening to this really, really helped. So we're falling in love with the process. That is number 2. Number 3, be on the lookout for any opportunity to grow in the thing you're excited about. Anything that comes your way that can give you knowledge, information, connections to what you are trying to accomplish, say yes. Duh. Even if you're not ready for it yet, you'll have that information in your back pocket, ready to move forward and ready to go when you need it. So, stay open to learning, and every opportunity, big or small, is an opportunity to grow, she mentions. Obviously, we know that, all about opportunities. Number 4, say yes to every opportunity as long as it's related to the thing you're excited about. So if someone came to me today with something like way out in left field that's not related to the things that I'm doing, I'd have to say no. And we have to remember, like we keep repeating the same patterns until we learn our lessons. So when the universe offers you a chance at something, you have to, to grow, take it. Without a doubt, take it. But if it doesn't align with where you want to go, don't bother. Now is not the time. Number 5, this is what I was referring to before. Number 5, put 0 time limit on achieving success and focus fully on the process of becoming better. So that one I kind of have a hard time with because I love SMART goals because they're associated with the time, they're very specific. Um, but when I talk about my podcast, I don't really have an end goal for my podcast. I want it to be successful, but I want it to be basically my goal with getting you the information is just adding value to your life. I don't really have an end goal with the podcast. It's just a way to deliver you information, and I can access a lot of people at once to give that information and plant a seed so that they can do better, because that's what I needed when I was in the dark place basically 10 years ago. Success isn't a race. Don't pressure yourself to have it all figured out immediately. Embrace the journey and focus on continual improvement. There was a coach about a year and a half ago. His name is Jay Cardielli that I was working with. And he gave me some really great advice. And I was definitely in a dark place trying to gain my footing and figure out what was coming next and what I should focus on. And that just it I was sort of like just simmering in a pot of water, just trying to figure out a direction. And he told me every time that he would try something and it didn't work out, instead of getting discouraged, he'd go back and try to get better at the thing. Okay, so what did I learn from this experience? How many times have you tried to launch something or do a project like at home or whatever? We have to like pause sometimes and learn more before we can move forward, and that's okay and appropriate and good. So every time, launching, say, the Self Love Club, my online membership, that was something I had never done before. And still, I'm having a lot of firsts. I love my founding members that have faith in me and believe in me and are willing to try different things. And so I knew I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like, and it's turning out better than that. But I'm just kind of focused on improving my product more or less, and myself and my knowledge, and trying and taking risks. I never thought that I'd be doing um, guided meditation like online, but here I am, and we started it, and it's wonderful, and everyone loves it, and that's part of their membership. They receive that when we do our live coaching call, and now it's like better than I imagined before, as well as a bunch of other things too. So we want to put, so Rachel, again, I'll reiterate number 5 since I just went on a tangent, said to put 0 time limit on achieving success and focus fully on the process of becoming better. So other than having like a goal time, I connect with all of it. And again, not every goal has a set measure of time. Maybe it's something that we develop through. It's interesting, food for thought. Number 6 is say yes to every opportunity that will elevate your new level of skill. Again, if the universe is presenting you with an opportunity, how many times are you going to turn it down and walk the other way and not get the information? Always say yes. And number 7, win, lose, or draw. Every opportunity will lead to bigger opportunities. Success doesn't look the same for everyone. You might not always win, but every experience moves you closer to the person that you want to be, mind, body, and soul, no matter what your goal is. And then number 8, consistency. Go back to step 1 and repeat forever. So seriously, consistency plus passion equals momentum. Consistency is the secret to building momentum. Pair that consistency with something you're truly passionate about, and you will be unstoppable. That is one thing I can say is everywhere I go, everybody's like, your marketing, it's so good. I'm seeing you like everywhere, from out in town or on, social media, YouTube, whatever. And it's because I'm consistent. Have I um, been really, really hustling? Yes. Yes, I have. Have I been focused on sort of creating as much valuable content as possible? Yes. And I know that's not the same as every other business, but no matter what, if you're consistent and you work at it every single day, you will get there. And it might take a long time. and it might not, but consistency is the key to momentum and reaching your goals. So I want you to pick three things to focus on. I said my writing is one thing, my podcast, and my coaching. Those are the three things that I focus on building my business. And remembering to say yes to those opportunities when the universe is knocking at our door saying, here's some information, please take it. Success doesn't happen overnight. We know that. Not usually, but if you keep going, you'll get there. If you're ready to start building momentum today, think about one thing that you can do to get that rolling. And then one thing that you can do each day to stay consistent to get to that goal. We talked about this before. Actually, Rachel has said this before, either in a book or a podcast, but when she was finishing one of her books, she committed to writing 1,000 words a day. And that's not really that much, but it depends on like where you are in your creative to be. That's one thing as I'm starting this next book that I'm going to approach it differently. This book was kind of started 3/4 of the way through. It's like, till now basically. And then I had to like backtrack and move forward. And it was when I finally sat down to start writing the book. I mean, I had content from different various years and then flashbacks of childhood and like all of these things. Trying to organize that was really fucking hard. And that held me back for a really, really long time because I knew there was these random thoughts all over the place, but they were good notes and motivational things for myself that I needed as I was on my journey. But putting that together was difficult. So when I do it this time, I'm going to approach it all differently. I've said it to a few friends of mine recently, and they're like, "Well, what would you recommend?" I'm like, "Start at the beginning." I didn't do that, so lesson learned. And next time, maybe it'll go a little bit more smooth. Um, so again, Rachel had said writing 1,000 words per day. But if you are trying to build a business through social media, make sure that you're posting every day on your own page, not all over the place, but you should be posting every day and then engaging with your audience and building that consistency. That is one thing that I can say definitely worked for me. Always be brainstorming your next idea too. That's where those come from. Like, how can I improve this? What can I do with this? And you'll never be without something to do, that's for sure. But we brainstorm and we develop these ideas that who would have thought like wind up being some of the best business decisions that we've ever made. So take action and take that first step. I hope today's episode has inspired you to stay consistent and taking action towards your goals. I just want you to remember that you are capable of achieving anything that you want. And so remember that you deserve it too. I can't express enough how much having a goal and then getting consistent on the momentum really, really helps. Any goal. It doesn't have to be starting a business. It could be anything. So I'm really glad that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for listening or watching. If you can do me a favor, hit like and subscribe wherever you are and share it with a friend if you think they'd love it just as much as you do. That would be the biggest compliment I could ever receive. I am so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful that my book is complete. Is it an open bar? And it'll be available to you very, very soon. Very excited. I'm just incredibly grateful for everything that's transpired. I am grateful for you listening and reading all of the things. And I love getting notes back and hearing how much it resonates with you and how much, I inspire you to do the same. Please be sure to check out the blog at myinnerstruggle.com and follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I am thinking of you and sending you love, and I will see you soon.